We're gonna burn it down. Welcome to episode 4, right out the door. Welcome to TCB Studios. Welcome to Burn It Down. I apologize if I sound a little crazy tonight, but I went to an old hardcore show the other night with some of my closest, oldest 100 friends. You know what happens when you're up all night screaming and talking, don't you? Anyway, you know how the saying in the biz goes. The show must go on. So here we are, episode 4. I can't believe we made it this far. Death Pickles. Big shout out, special shout out to Death Pickles tonight, and a special happy birthday to Kelly Hester from Death Pickles. So this guest I've known for 30 years, lived together, shared the best stories on stage and off, traveled the globe together, shared time in the studio, written songs together. He's produced albums for me. We've climbed mountains together. We've jumped off cliffs together. What an honor and a privilege it is just to call him a friend. Nelson Lopez, aka Peter Pan, aka B. Kinch. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Kincheloe.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
Did I make you blush a little from that intro?
Yeah, the Peter Pan thing makes me laugh every time.
I love it. I love it. Well, actually, how did the Peter Pan thing come about again?
I've been accused of not growing up my whole life, and I think it finally came together. My next door neighbor, who was from Korea, didn't speak a lot of English. Never really said much to us. One day, Allie was out at the front of the driveway here in Atlanta, and she'd been watching me for maybe 2 or 3 years, skateboarding, playing guitar, like putting my canoe in the creek and trying to run the rapids in the ravine next to our house and climbing on the roof and just doing idiotic things with everybody. And she finally has the nerve. She comes to the, comes up to my wife. I guess she was going out to get the mail or something. And she says this in very broken English. Your husband, he like Peter Pan. He no grow up.
I love that story. I think at one point she even saw you skateboarding with one of your kids on your shoulders, and she's like, "What's wrong with him?"
What's funny is I don't think she meant it as a compliment.
No, exactly. But
like, she was basically saying your husband's like out of control. Like, we know her like now, and this is 10 years later. You know what I mean? I think she was meaning as a compliment. Now, back then, she was very weirded out by it. Like, she had just come to this country, and she's like, "What is this man child doing?"
Unbelievable.
So that was repeated.
Well, I know you, and you choose awesome, and we're going to get into that as well. And you took it as a compliment, so good for you.
Yeah. I want it on my gravestone.
Of course, man. Well, this is insane because I mentioned earlier to Renee that we really could talk for 12 hours, but we only have this short period of time, and I'm going to try to squeeze in as much as I can. The insane thing is I heard your name before I even met you because your mom is the famous Mabel Ann Kincheloe. I was visiting my parents in Atlanta in the early 90s, and I remember reading in the newspaper about your mom. And she's a famous librarian, and she put a lady in jail for not returning books for 20 years.
They were reference books, and they were worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So, hold on, I got to my mom. The way a library works is they have to buy books based on the amount of people that are going to rent. Like a book company, it's not like they pay, $50 like you would if you bought a reference book, right? They pay for like an estimated amount of usage. So it's like a reference book could cost the library $10,000 or $20,000.
Sure.
So this lady literally had been checking them out and then selling them.
I love it. I love
And
it.
it made People magazine, and it made all the it went all over the world. Like this lady went to jail.
I love that story, and I love that she did that. And then I do meet you, and you were in one of my favorite bands, this band called Kids on Coffee, unbelievable. And then you changed your name to Swing Riot,
That's right.
and that was one of my favorite bands. And we went to see Rancid play at the Ranch in Augusta, Georgia,
That's right.
and it was an amazing show. But unfortunately, our friend Chuck got beat up at the show, and I remember you picking up a man who was about 8 feet tall. He looked like a refrigerator with a
Yeah.
head. And you grabbed him by the neck and you said, "That's my best friend since the second grade." And basically stopped him from getting beat up.
So I have an older brother who was like a tyrant, like literally, like he was like, like kind of black belt, wanted to be a Navy SEAL, beat everybody up in the school. He was 3 years above me. So
Yeah.
I got this hardcore training on like having to learn how to fight. I'm not like a fighter or anything, but like it was instilled at me because I had a brother that was literally like militant. So it's so funny, like to hear myself about, because I've never started a fight in my life, but you can ask anyone I'm with. If anyone gets into trouble, I jump in, right? But it's all because I had this brother who's like literally like a legendary, like movie, like weekend movie theater brawler guy. Like, and he's and he could bench 3 times his weight, and he was a wild dude. He is a wild dude, and
I love it. I love it. Listen. Once again, you choose awesome, and you're always looking after the underdog. You don't start fights, but you have ended a couple.
Nobody touches Chuck Petro.
No one touches our best friend.
I had to regulate.
Well, then we started
through skinheads. Remember, they were all big.
That's right. And you were willing to take them all down, and that's amazing.
But do you remember who backed us up after the fight to get us to our cars? All right, tell that.
Well, Lars from Rancid was on our side. So, big shout out to Lars.
He went and got his bat.
The guy in the band playing on stage had our back. Thank you so much. Shout out to Rancid. But, so then we become best friends. We go to shows together. We're playing music together. We're living together. We founded this place called C11 in the West End, along with Floop and our friend Paul. And what an amazing place. And I try to describe it again. I also shout out to Punk House Atlanta and Evie and Jessica, because I know they were sharing info about us doing the show tonight. And we had a skate ramp there, a studio, worked on photography, worked on arts. Any place you live that you could ride a bicycle or a skateboard inside, you're doing something great. Some of the best shows ever. And then us, like, growing up and learning, and writing music together as well. I remember us playing a show. It was very early on of Rent Boys. It just came to my mind today, and I probably haven't thought about it in 20 years. And I love this show that I get to do this, because I get to think about these special times with people that have had such a big effect on my life, and you are certainly one of them. And I know you're going to remember this. We were playing a charity event for a guy with cancer at Life College. So big shout out to Mike Bruce and Vic Carenti. And here we are celebrating. We're trying to raise money for this person, but there were a lot of mixed emotions in the crowd. And you got on the microphone, and I try to make this show PG-13, so I'm not going to curse. But you got on the microphone, and you were like, "Man, F cancer, F cancer," and you were like, "This party is about celebrating life. If he was here, if he was okay, he'd be here dancing with us." And then our drummer, D Blocks, started doing a funky beat, and you just grabbed the mic and you're like, "This goes out to all the kids with cancer." And I literally, my arm here went up, and I just said, "I'm not dealing with a normal person here. I'm dealing with a very special angel/alien, and his name is B. Kinch."
Man, that's so funny. I hadn't thought about that literally in 2 decades. You know what I mean? That's amazing.
It's so funny because, the past few days I've been trying to think of stories, and I'm writing down just like stars and thinking of like things that have happened to us, but there have been hundreds of them. Like when I say your name and I tell people about you, I say, you've never met a stranger. You meet someone and immediately you're just best friends with them, which is such a wonderful characteristic.
And my mom.
Yeah, shout out again to Mabel Ann
Except
Kincheloe.
for putting people in jail.
Shout out to Mabel Ann Kincheloe, one of the most famous librarians in the country. So Rent Boys, we're playing, I think, our first tour in New York City. And this kind of goes back to how you are with people. We're in Brent Hines' old 4 Alfaga and Female Without a Face van. It's the summer. It's June or July. It's 111 degrees in this van. And there's no air conditioning. Certainly, we've been driving all night. And we get out of this van. And literally, we roll out of this van. Our clothes are stuck to us. And this girl walks by, and you go, Becky Johansson? And this girl's like, excuse me, what? And you go, it's Brian Kincheloe from the 2nd grade. And you're in your 20s. She's like, oh my gosh, how you doing? I mean, unbelievable. And then
that was right in front of the actor's studio, right next to Irving Plaza.
Yes, it was. Which we'll talk about that as well. I mean, Joe Strummer, goodness gracious. And then literally you're just so excited and full of life and loving life. You go, man, that was cool. That was Becky Johansson. You go, I'm going to go get a haircut. And you jumped on your skateboard and just started skating right down 6th Avenue. Avenue America's crazy traffic, just skating right down the yellow line.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
And you were off to the Sepultura dude's house.
That's right. I was. I was hanging out with a friend who was hanging out with the dudes from Sepultura. Yes, it was.
Right above the beauty bar is where he lived, right?
Exactly. You know, and the night before, we're lucky enough at, I think it was the 930 Club in Washington, D.C., got to hang out with Joe Strummer. Huge evening, which led to the next night. Just magical things happen when I'm with you.
Thanks, man. I feel the same, totally, obviously. I mean, there should be a book one day that's
there will be. It'll probably be long after I'm gone, which I'm fine with that. I mean, when we were in DC, I don't think it was that trip. It might have been another time playing in Washington, DC, because we love life and we love learning every day and studying and hiking and seeing things. So we went to the Holocaust Museum. Another day we're at the Smithsonian and we're looking at these wonderful creations and inventions and discoveries and accomplishments that have been made in our lifetime or maybe before our lives. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, that's my uncle. Yeah. And basically you have uncles that are in the Smithsonian. And I'm like, of course. Well, again, Brian Kincheloe never ceases to amaze me. And I'm not trying to embarrass you. I am trying to tell you how awesome that is. Like, what was that?
Ivan Kincheloe was he died in the X program. He died in the test piloting the F-104, but he's most famous for being considered the original first astronaut. He flew the X-2 to 126,000 feet. When he got there, the plane took samples and they realized there was a couple molecules of oxygen. So they redeclared what space was. But in 1957, he got on the cover as America's first spaceman. But his flight proved that there was still more space to go to get to space. So he redacted his. He is in the Astronaut Hall of Fame,
right?
And he did die 2 years later at Edwards Air Force Base. When you drive into Edwards, it's Kincheloe Drive is right there.
That is so amazing. That is so he was one of the first men in space, but then they reneged on him and they said, well, that's not considered space.
Yeah.
That is not cool, but at least he's in the Smithsonian.
Yeah. And what's funny is the photos of him online are the most badass photos ever. I mean,
I've looked at them with you, and we certainly have said this right here would be a great album cover. This should be a painting, you know. I remember going to another uncle's house, and we went there. And he was building a plane in his backyard and in his kitchen. So we're at his house, and he's the nicest dude ever. And he says, oh, you're Tom. Nice to meet you. He goes, yeah, I'm building this plane. And he comes in. We meet his wife, and his wife's trying to cook. She goes, I can't cook when there's a propeller in the oven. And so next thing you know, he goes, well, I just painted the propeller. I'm letting it dry with the oven heat. You know, the heat from the oven. So they pull out this propeller, and he's like building a plane. Next thing
he used to hand turn his own propellers since the 40s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And then you drove in his electric car that he commuted to work every day since the 70s. He built his own electric car.
That was amazing. I drove in his electric car, and I rode on the smallest motorcycle of all time, which literally was like a pot, like a pot or a pan with tiny handlebars and small wheels. And
He
I'm a
built
thick
that for the
lad.
Guinness, he built that for the Guinness Book of World Records, like for the record. I think it's been beat now, but go ahead. Sorry.
Of
I mean,
course, no, no, please, you tell more about it. I mean, I was just blown away. I go, this poor woman wants to make spaghetti, and she just pulled a propeller out of the oven.
Mary Edwards is her name. She was part of the 99s, which is Amelia Earhart's club. There are
Unbelievable.
amazing photos of her. Like she used to land a Swift, it's a plane, like at Grandfather Mountain in like the 1940s and 50s. She'd pilot one into a field, like just to
Well,
go visit
cheers.
family.
Cheers to Mary Edwards. Cheers to your aunt and uncle, to your uncles that are in the Smithsonian, to your whole family. I mean, unbelievable. And you fast forward a couple of years, and you and I end up on the West Coast. Well, I shouldn't say that. I followed you to the West Coast to build a TV studio in San Diego, and so many things happened. You wind up starting to produce Bad with Names, Good with Faces by Weston Motel. You wind up joining Weston Motel, but you were one of the first members of Weston Motel many years ago. So many factors and so many things came like beautiful and full circle. And we jumped off cliffs at Black's Beach. We went to Dr. Seuss's house in La Jolla. We almost got killed, fully clothed and in shoes, in sneakers. I'm wearing my Vans. I was probably wearing this Dickies shirt. Shout out to Dickies. We're in the water and almost get killed by these waves that almost destroy us. You know,
I got a video of that, which is pretty amazing.
Unbelievable. And then shout out to Galaxy Taco, a place that we went to that was our little home away from home. You know, you have that because the road is so strange, you know. And one night we're there and we're just making decisions regarding our future with family, personal life, music, writing, art projects. And then next thing you know, we're down the road in Ocean Beach having beers and tacos with our brother Darren Sanders, and we hear him say the words "I choose awesome," and we basically say, "Well, that's a group. You're the president of it, and we are your followers, Darren." And we've tried to live that way ever since.
Every day, wake up and think of it. Gotta choose awesome every day, man. Every day.
Unbelievable.
There's no really other point, right? I mean, like if you're just gonna be miserable, I mean, you know what I mean?
It's not, you know. The thing that I've realized, or at least I've tried to do, because I know, especially these days, it's rough, you know. But one, everyone has stuff going on. So if I come into a setting or a room and I'm negative and I darken that room, well, that's selfish of me, you know. And and not to mention, someone always has it worse than you, you know. So we do.
You're the best I've ever seen at it, Tom.
Oh man,
coming into a room and taking control and making it positive. So.
Oh man, well, I'm blushing a little bit, but I love it, and we finished that record, and I'm super proud of that record. And I know if I say it on TV, on my own show, Burn It Down, I'll make it happen. We will finish a new Weston Motel record this year. I've talked to B. Hines, I've talked to the dudes, and I have so many ideas. I know you and I have a few songs.
We already have a couple songs actually recorded.
And I also love that it might not be the most conventional way of recording. We might just come in with ideas that are, you know, poems or drum beats and some screaming, and then we add the instruments to it, you know. And but also
we'll make Tom's Dark Side of the Moon.
Tom's Side of the Moon, and we're going to document where we are at, our hearts, our minds, everything that, you know, is going on with us, you know. And then we went to Philly and met some wonderful people there. Shout out to our brothers, Adam and Ray and Joe and Klauser, Dan Murphy, all of you guys. You know, it's been such a while.
Sarah. Don't forget Sarah.
Actually, now I'm gonna get shots. Sarah Rachel Brown, of course, big shout out. You know, and you know, it's just been the best thing traveling with you, and no matter how hard we work, what we have going on, we come back to our room or our trailer or our housing that we're at, and we strap on our guitars and our pianos and our bongos. I mean, Tommy Bongos was created in Philly. That's one of my alter egos now. And then we go to this place, and start doing what we do, which is pouring out of our hearts and our minds. It's
Yeah,
the best.
it really
Um,
is. I think everyone should have a creative outlet. I wish that for everyone.
I do too. I do too. Whether it's painting or, listen, writing poetry or actually just writing your thoughts down in a diary is so healthy. It's got to be. I mean, because I know it's been good for me because there's times I haven't been in the best place and I write these things down. I think about it, take a shower, bang on some drums, go for a walk, go for a hike, ride a bicycle, and all of a sudden I'm like, look at that diary. I'm like, well, man, this, I don't like what I wrote. This, I love what I wrote. Let's scream it 8 times and turn it into a song.
Man, I got a neighbor that's he's probably in his mid 80s. He's a gardener.
Yes.
He's like a true artist. I mean,
right.
It's a true art what he does. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Unbelievable. He's got a beautiful green thumb.
Man, it's incredible. He brings us I'd never really just ate lettuce just someone hands it to you and you eat it,
Right.
It never really occurred to me before. Usually it gets chilled and then you put something on it,
Yes.
When it's straight out of the ground, man, it tastes completely different. I got to be honest. Like, he just brings over these huge heads of lettuce and we eat them right there.
Well, TCB Studios, we want to try it.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you tell us a little about the time? Because I've heard this a few times, and I don't know why I don't have it written down or know more about it. But you were blessed by the presence of the Dalai Lama.
Oh yeah, yeah. So,
of course,
yeah.
Brian knows that Jeffrey Butcher last week was bragging that he knows Paris Hilton. But get that, Brian Kincheloe knows the Dalai Lama.
People, it's so funny when people have been like, "Hey, what's the most famous person you've ever met?" And then I'll drop the Dalai Lama. People are like, "Okay, that's pretty much."
Yeah, that is the best thing ever, man.
So Dalai Lama, this is 2007, was coming to America.
Yeah.
To do a tour to some of the like Soto Zen centers and a couple educational institutions and some political institutions. And of course, he comes with his entourage, which is his monks, which are a lot of the children of people that fled with the Dalai Lama during the uprising, during the Chinese invasion in 57 or 9. And then, so when they came to America, this guy, Jeff, that runs was high up in the Cartoon Network. And he had me and this other guy, Matt. We designed a portable production system that could follow the Dalai Lama around everywhere real fast. So like 4 cameras, and it was right when HD was, just starting to get really going. So it was like the first portable HD kit, and we won an Emmy for it, and got to go to several Dalai Lama events and met him and got some pictures. I haven't actually ever shared any of my Dalai Lama pictures. I need to do that, but probably the most inspiring thing about it was, the Dalai Lama is amazing, right? It's incredible. I'll tell you 2 real quick things about Dalai Lama. One is when he was doing a presentation, the other guests, they were passing the mic because some lavs quit working, and the guy dropped the mic, and it was a wireless mic that hit the ground and then started rolling. Well, the Dalai Lama gets up and grabs the mic and then puts it and holds it for the guy so he can talk, right?
That is amazing.
Because he's a humble man, right?
Yes.
So, but the other thing I was going to tell you was probably the most amazing thing was hanging out. I got to hang out with his monks when they build the mandala and do all the art when they come into the building, and with sand, and you got to hang out with them a lot because they're very available. And I was there like long before the show, and then we'd leave immediately, go to the next one. And oh yeah, actually there's my Emmy up there. See?
Wow, yeah. Beautiful. I don't even think I've ever seen that. That's crazy.
I'm upstairs. As many times you've been to my house, I didn't move the control room up here until during the pandemic, so we haven't really had any visitors upstairs, really. So but I'm in the control room now. But they / office. I work here. Anyways, that was really inspiring because I got to really get to know those guys, right? and like
Right.
what we do, and just everything. It was very, very enlightening, and I mean, it was just a wonderful time. Yeah.
Oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to see you next week because I know we're still working on a bunch of other projects. I'm looking forward to doing Boys from the County Hell with you.
Mhm.
So looking forward to finishing this Western Motel work with you. Tell me about Blood Circuits. Well, I know about Blood Circuits. They're my favorite new band, but tell me about Blood Circuits. Tell
Okay.
tell my listeners of Burn It Down about Blood Circuits.
Okay. Blood Circuits is a new band. It's myself, James Joyce, who people might know from bands like Car vs. Driver, Hal Shaddad, Newt to Newt, and then he played with Greg and I in Remuxers after Casey had moved away.
And a little show called Three on the Ones and Twos.
Yeah. So I was going to get to that. He's also co-host with Tom. James is like one of the drummers of. And if you live in Atlanta, everyone knows him because he's played in iterations of every great band, pretty much.
The best, legendary.
So James is a drummer. Then I play with Greg Pate, who's like, we call him Greg Zilla, world's greatest bass player. Well, I'll put Stiff up there too, but
yeah.
Greg is just a machine, and he played in Remuxers, and he played in Gaijin and Cadaver Dogs, and then probably a bunch of Slayer cover bands when he was 14 and had hair down to his belt. But
I love it.
But anyway, so Greg and I, we basically took Remuxers, which James played with us once Casey left, and then one of my oldest friends, first guy I ever saw practice play guitar, Sarge, who's known from the '90s from Freemasonry, who disappeared basically. I mean, he like went off to Oklahoma. Nobody, I mean, I'm not really on presence on Facebook, but he wasn't communicating with a lot of us. A lot of people didn't know really what he was doing, and he moved back to Atlanta. Reconnected, guy's freaking genius, and
he's the best.
And so it's me and Sarge on guitar, Greg on bass, and James on drums, and we've been we're approaching like 15 songs we're recording right now. We're actually going to do a record that's going to be hopefully this year, but we've already got a demo that's almost done now, which is 8 songs. And we played 3 gigs thanks to you. We played our first gig with you, All Night Drug Prong Wolves, and then Casey, Order of the Owl. So thankful. That was in August, our first show. I would call it rough, but people seem to enjoy it. And then we've played twice since, and we got a lot of shows we're about to announce.
I love it,
and it's going good because we kind of run the gamut. It's heavy. It's also it's all over the place. There's a lot of like mellow stuff too. I don't know how much that we play live, but we'll see, because on the album we'll contrast that a little bit, obviously.
Yeah, when I try to explain you guys, it's so difficult, but just because I know what people like, and so if it could be in that family, I'll say, well, it's got Fugazi and Hot Snakes, and they're like, whoa, I want to listen to it.
Yeah, that's great.
And it basically just saying anyone who likes those bands, I think, would like you guys. You know what I mean?
I think that the most common bands that are referred are Fugazi and Lungfish, which is coincidentally my favorite bands. But
Lungfish for sure. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of that.
Lungfish is probably like really like super impactful. But then also people always throw in Tortoise or Mogwai because we have that other side of us. You know what I mean? I hear that. I hear Mogwai a lot, which, to be honest, I haven't listened to Mogwai like a record since like 2003. But I love them. But I don't know if they're comparing us to like what Mogwai's done since, or like back in the day, the things I know of them.
Well, you haven't mentioned one band that I don't like, so all of those bands are awesome. So if anyone out there likes any of those bands, you should check out Blood Circuits.
Thanks, man.
And anytime you guys do something, I try to share it on my social media. So I hope we can get you guys some more fans, because music is magic, and it's the only common thing that, I don't care who you are, all over the world, if something good happens, you put on music. If something bad happens, someone passes away, you put on music. It really is. It saved me and changed me and rearranged me and you together, like our friendships, a million times.
So we don't have a big presence on Facebook. I guess we should, and I did open an account. But if you do want to connect up with us and interested in getting the demo, I should say that at Blood Circuits on Instagram, we are pretty active on there.
Right.
I'm gonna start copying everything over to Facebook, but I just my whole life I've been since Facebook was a thing, I just don't want to know what people are eating. So
Yeah, listen, you're a smart man. It's usually people arguing over like makeup or religion or politics. It's not worth it. But we have followers now on this show. And if anyone comments on it, they can talk to me or Renee or John, and we'll send them your way. And I do want to thank the folks, the producers behind the scenes, because the show, we're trying to let this thing grow organically, which everything we do, whether it's our bands or our magazines or shows we've worked on in the past, we come up with an idea and we want it to grow and be organic. So I love it. I love
be gentle on me, because as I'm active on Facebook, everybody be gentle. You know what I mean? Because I'm really scared of everything. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, he's a sensitive soul, and he wears sensible shoes, because he was at that hardcore show the other night with me, and he was jumping around. He even got punched in the face, but he was like, I got good. He was like, I got good shoes. I'm going to be okay.
I did get punched in the face at the
show. How's the face doing? You doing all right?
Fine. To be honest, when I got punched, it was kind of like, man, I'm like 16 again. Like some guy just like took a swing at me because the whole pit thing's going around and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just pretending to be a little child. It was great.
Listen, it was a magical night. I exaggerate because I'm a writer. And I said the other night I was with some of my closest, oldest 100 friends. But I really did bump into about 30 people that I used to adore. And life gets in the way, marriages, divorces, kids. And it really was something so special. And you know what stinks is special things and all good things come to an end. And we've been talking for 31 minutes already. So I'm going to have to close this and just tell you, one, I'll see you Thursday night, and two, so much love and respect, and I can't wait to spend the next 30 years with you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Like I said, if you want to see free music, look me up, bkinch74 on Instagram or Blood Circuits. I'll get you some music.
Thank you, guys, and let's burn it down. See you soon.
Yeah.